Okay, so welcome to You'll Probably Agree or Maybe Not Agree. I'm here with Andrea Thompson from Cultured Vultures, is that right?
Yep, and young folks.
And the young folks. Well, I got a lot to say about this one. We're going to talk about Star Wars The Last Jedi. And hopefully, this will be the last time in my life I ever have to talk about Star Wars again.
What?
Yeah.
Come on, it was a really awesome time.
Oh, God. Anyways, what did you think of the movie?
I just said it was a really awesome time. I thought Rey was a good character. It had its flaws, definitely. I gave it a B plus in my review.
Okay. I don't know. Like, they didn't really establish Rey at all. I thought we were gonna know more about her, other than like her parents, whose lineage we're all looking forward to. Just turned out to be a bunch of junk dealers, and it was just like, oh, okay.
I
guess
like that
was it.
she didn't have to be a part of like she. It was basically just her. She didn't have her past didn't have to. She didn't have to be born into the story. She just got into it because of her merits, I guess.
Okay, but but even if it was like on her own merits, it just seemed kind of very inconsequential and why they even built up to the whole thing. The movie just was just filled with so much inappropriate humor that almost felt like
Inappropriate?
Ryan Johnson was like giving his audience the middle finger. Like he literally
I
was
think he
like,
was trying to defy our expectations.
yeah, but it was like in the most condescending way. He was literally like, "Oh, you want to find out what happens on the?" And we're gonna get into spoilers here if we didn't already. But Ryan Johnson was literally like, "Okay, you want to find out what happens to, Luke when they're on top of the mountain that you've been waiting 2 years to find out?" Well, he just throws a lightsaber over his head. Ha ha ha! Isn't that funny? Real great, right? Like, no, that's not fucking funny. People were really awaiting that moment for something unique and special, and instead, you just fucking put in some asshole-ish joke to fuck with your audience. Like, that's not fucking cool. Like, it just felt like a giant troll moment. Like, actually, the movie was just filled with troll moments. Whenever, like, it started to get into the story or get into a dramatic moment, they just wanted to, like, insert humor, like, at the worst possible time, which just would suck me out of so many scenes.
I think your beef is more that he didn't cater to your expectations, and he spent most of the movie like saying, "Oh, you expect this to happen? No, let's go into unexpected territory." I genuinely, a lot of the times in the movie, I genuinely had no idea what was going to happen next, so I liked it.
But
And
it
was
wasn't
kinda
just my
surprising.
expectations, just like fans in general.
Exactly, he wasn't interested to catering to our expectations.
But the
so.
thing was, like, there's a difference between not catering to someone's expectations and then just ignoring them completely. And, like, basically, like, this movie should have existed for a purpose. We should have known why there's a First Order or Resistance in the first place. Like, why do these movies even matter? Like, outside of the fact that, yeah, Disney's making them and they want to make money, like, why are they here? Instead, we're just kind of given this singular story, which
I
could have
feel
been.
like we're getting a lot of great new characters, great new stories, especially now that they've stopped relying on the nostalgia like Force Awakens did.
But Force Awakens could rely on the nostalgia for kickstarting the film.
Exactly,
You know.
and this one gave us something more original.
But it didn't really build on anything. It just kind of left so much dormant and dull and boring. And I'm just like,
Really? That movie was not boring.
I really could have cared less, like, about, because the whole plot literally revolves around a ship catching up to another ship, and that's it. You know, it's like, shouldn't this be a story that really cements why these films have existed, since like Force Awakens kind of built that foundation as to the existence of these films in the first place? Like, we want to know who Snoke is. We want to know who the First Order is. You know, we want to know.
It was pretty clear who the First Order is.
Well, we get that it's a part of the Empire, but didn't they initially win? Didn't they like blow up the second Death Star and everybody was celebrating? It was supposed to be about the death of the Empire, but then that's kind of like undermined in Force Awakens when they blow up Starkiller Base.
Well, I felt like it was a little bit rushed. That was a little bit of its flaws, and we didn't get to see Rey train. She's supposed to have all this innate ability, but we didn't really get to see her develop it. So
Yeah.
I felt like that was one of the film's flaws. And how did the Republic fall this far
Yeah.
in so short a time?
Well, yeah, I mean, that was and I agree, that was really brushed over. It's like, hey, we have this republic, we're finally going to go back to democracy. Like, shouldn't the But now they just blow it up in one film, which metaphorically, like J.J. Abrams was kind of blowing up the prequels by getting rid of all the politics. And like after they did that, you're just going, well, where's this going to go if there's no Republic, if there's a First Order? Are we going to find out why this stuff even exists in the first place? No. It's just the First Order's bad. They're like Nazis. If they kept spreading,
that's the message of Star Wars 2. The Empire was clearly bad, so they clearly need to be stopped. It was something people enjoyed seeing when they were in this horrible, complicated Vietnam conflict, obviously. And here we have a war where you can root for the heroes, root for the good guys, and root against the clearly bad guys.
But like, why are they still around? Like, if they defeated them, like why are they around? What was the resistance resisting?
Why is the alt-right around?
Because they're still Nazis.
Exactly, they're still the Empire.
Yeah, but they don't have the kind of funding that the Empire did, or the First Order did.
What?
How did the First Order, how were they able to afford a gigantic, like, Death Star that was the size of a planet?
You're trashing the prequels, but you're talking about finances?
Yeah, well, yeah, you know what? I'll say this about the prequels. I'll say this.
Like, what about their finances?
Yeah, okay, so here's what I'll say about the prequels. As bad as the prequels were, as bad as they were, at least they existed for a reason. And you could see that it built up towards something, and there was an intention behind it.
These are clearly building up towards something, and they exist for a good reason, to bring us great new characters and do justice to the old. So I think Carrie Fisher was done amazing justice. She was so alive. So
yeah,
vital.
Especially when she got blown out of an airlock in the middle of space.
Wow, dude.
And then she was
that's
Jesus.
Nice. That's nice, Mike.
And then she was like Jesus, and then sucked herself back in. It was like, what? Seriously?
It's Leia.
Yeah, and it's like she's got the Force, so she could like plot armor. Movie needs to happen. We can't kill her that quickly. So that happens, and then, God.
I don't think that was exactly planned because they were shooting the third one when she passed. Rest in peace. I thought this one really did her justice. Like, once again, she's the main force behind the rebellion. She's holding it down when everyone else is being pathetic. Grow a pair, Luke, and just train Rey.
Yeah,
got nothing
Luke
better to do.
was the biggest. Oh my God, he literally became that. Did you see that internet meme? Like, what was it? Like lonely Luke Skywalker. It's a Twitter account, and all he just talks about how sad he is, and now he's on the island. It's like, Luke, just fucking grow up and just train Rey. So even he's admitting it.
Yeah, I felt like Kylo Ren, they missed a chance to really make him menacing. They were so playing up his conflicted side that we missed a chance to have some really good like Vader-like moments.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I kind of liked how he became so power hungry that he wanted everything to himself. But then at the same time, I don't know. Like, I kind of wish they did, like, play with more of his character other than he's an asshole. Everyone realized he was an asshole. That was actually kind of cool how Luke did kind of realize in the end that, or everybody realized in the end that Luke was kind of right, that he was beyond saving, and nobody could do anything to help him out. And now kind of the driving force of that picture is to take out Kylo Ren, which, by the way, what was this whole thing with Snoke? Like, why was he there if they were just going to kind of turn him into this laughing idiot in a Hugh Hefner, bathrobe who ends up getting chopped in half by, like, what was it, like 40 minutes into the movie?
It was longer.
Yeah.
It was near the end, so.
But it was still just like, okay, so we're going to find out how this Snoke guy, it's like all this is predated to backstory, because, like, I would be fine if this was, like, another film that was, like, a spin-off of a Star Wars movie, like Rogue One.
Rogue One was amazing.
Mm.
I don't think so. I think they had a way more depth than the average action movie, and I think that was the case in this movie too. Like I felt like they placed more emphasis on exploring emotional arcs of characters in an action-packed setting, and I felt like Rogue One did that too. Finn, he kind of in this movie he kind of became aware of more of the complicated nature of the universe. He was he was raised as a stormtrooper, and he saw the worst of what the Empire had to do, and he thought it was very black and everything was very black and white. And going to that beautiful casino, he realized that just the universe is more complicated, and he even got a new adorable love interest. That they met cute by her shocking him, which was funny. And so yeah, everyone had an arc. And the fighter pilot had to kind of realize that things were more complicated. That not every problem can be solved by blowing things up.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, like we've seen that before, but this made it fun.
All right. Okay. No, I think I like what Disney's doing, where it's not just all male-led.
Yeah, I honestly I think this is maybe the one time where tastes diverge where it's not gendered.
Yeah. Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean,
he
with
just-
Star Wars,
he
you don't
just
have
has
to
a
make it
different take
gendered.
on it.
With Star Wars,
Honestly,
you don't
I think if
have
it was
to.
traditionally gendered, I'd say there was too much action, and he'd say, you know, the action was fantastic, and I loved watching, you know, the action guys do their thing. If it was stereotypically gendered.
I thought the new film had too much action.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Right, you wanted to know about finances.
Yeah. I don't want to know about the financing specifically. I want to know what went wrong and how the Empire continued to be in power and why there was resistance in the first place. Like, if you know, they won and there was a galactic or whatever, like, whatever the Senate has that's like a military, like, why
Well, I
were
agree
they
that was a
resisting
major
that?
flaw in the film, I thought. This supposedly takes place just a little while after you guys blow up their biggest weapon and you're in this much trouble. What
Yeah.
the hell?
Yeah,
I
like, they were
thought that
weak.
I thought that was a major flaw. But I was really glad to once again have fun the way I did in Force Awakens without them replicating the plot. And this movie just had so much to live up to. Not only The Force Awakens, not only being more original, but it also had to live up to the reputation of one of the greatest sequels of all time, The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, you can never emulate The Empire Strikes Back. You can never be as good. Why am I even playing this game? I'm going to a level that I can understand. But you can never try to make another film like Empire because Empire
and
was...
they wisely didn't try.
Yeah.
There were some shout-outs to it, I felt, but yeah, I felt they did a really good job of continuing the franchise and just doing justice to the old and the new mostly.
Maybe I'm getting a little too mad about it, but here's the thing with The Last Jedi is you want to have an intention to this film. You want to have a purpose for continuing the story of Star Wars. But it was kind of a bottle film. Like, that's how I felt.
It stood on its own.
But, like, it stood on its own without being a part of the overarching story. As bad as the prequels were.
No. It was... Well, just go on.
Go
Guess I
ahead.
should-
No, go ahead.
I mean...
Give it to him.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, give it to me.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, I'm shooting by.
I mean, it definitely continued the story from previously, and I felt like it stood on its own. You didn't have to know everything, but it would have been really helpful. It did that in an original way without relying too much on nostalgia. A little bit of the cutesy animals and everything, but but yeah, I felt like it continued the story. It was clearly setting up for something big in the third one. I felt like the third one, they hinted that it's going to take place a number of years after. And that kid we saw at the end is going to be a part of it. Because, force powers and all that.
I
so,
thought he
yeah.
was just a setup for Ryan Johnson's new trilogy.
Might be that too.
Yeah.
They're never going to stop.
Yeah.
Disney really does own us now, what with the Fox deal they just did.
Yeah,
There's
I mean, Disney
I know-
basically is like the citizens of Canto Bight.
I know I'm being naive, but I thought, isn't there some rule against such a friggin' monopoly they have now?
What was the rule? Do you know it?
No monopoly.
No monopoly.
You could only own a certain amount of media outlets.
Oh yeah, that was broken in the late 90s, I believe.
Yeah. But it stands alone as a episode of a TV show,
Oh.
but not as a
you two with
movie. Like, what was that?
Nothing.
Okay. Anyways,
Hiccup. It was
it's okay. It was very funny.
I know. Normally I manage to... I don't know when they're coming. Normally I manage to not do that when I'm discussing something.
But no, that's how I felt. I felt like, oh, this is like a random episode of a show. This felt
picked
very
up after the
inconsequential.
events. It didn't follow up the best at times, but come on, it was a definite continuation.
I mean, I've already stated why I think there were so many mysteries that J.J. Abrams set up in the original films just to, like, not even be developed in the new one. The only thing they did develop is what happened to the Jedi, you know, in the island, which you would think after a number of years, Luke Skywalker would get over himself and try to move on.
Luke Skywalker.
And yeah, I mean, he wants to go to Tashi Station to pick up his power converters. And
I was gonna go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters.
exactly. Like, he's always been a whiny character, but oh my god. You know, he like just hides in an island sad for years, you know, just waiting for the Jedi to go away or whatever. Like, you know, shouldn't he have been able to like pick his ass up and do something? And then when Yoda comes in to like give him like a little pick-me-up, it's like, hey Yoda, why didn't you do that years before? You know, when things really went south.
Why didn't he do many things years before during the original trilogy?
Because Yoda's a shitty person.
Well, maybe he's not. Maybe he had his reasons.
But I don't know, like, just like in the prequels.
And you
he's
just
always,
died, so ha.
like, all Yoda did and everyone told Anakin, which kind of gives him some interesting incentive when you think about it, is like anytime Anakin would have a problem, they'd be like, shut up, Anakin, just fucking deal with it. You know, you can't have any personal connection, you can't have a wife, you can't have kids, you can't have a family. You're a Jedi, too bad, just deal with it.
Like father, like son.
Yeah, like that's
so
literally
many
what they were
ways.
like. They were just like
Jedi,
abusive.
like my father before me. I'm thinking that's probably not a good route to take with this.
Did they say that in the movie?
Oh, not in this movie. In Return of the Jedi.
Oh, really?
You know, when he was confronting them both, and
No, I
So,
like. You see, at least those movies, like the prequels included, like they all had a purpose or a continuing story. This film, I literally just.
prequels, really? They gave
Yep.
us midi-chlorians.
Yeah,
and
okay.
They kind of made Darth Vader this big baby.
Yeah, they made him like a real. They made him a big baby version of Jesus, but
I feel bad for the kid who played Anakin because he's had to deal with so
it's
much
tragic.
repercussions.
It's horrible.
Yeah. But anyway.
But the thing I was saying is like, yeah, they're bad. There's so many flaws with them, and I really sincerely do not like the filmmaking in them. But at least I felt like this is a story about the creation of the Empire, and each chapter would lead to you seeing how that would happen.
Yeah, it
You know?
did. I felt like that was missing a few things, like I've said, but I just don't think that this current film was bad, as you say.
It was just an inconsequential, fun little romp. It was just literally a movie about one ship chasing another one.
It was about
was
the
it.
resistance living to fight another day, you know, struggling to stay alive. They've basically been turned back into the underdogs, fighting against this evil that's, you know, more powerful, more numerous now than them. They basically turned them back into the rebels again.
If this was such a big deal that they were going to become the rebellion again, we needed to find out why they became the rebellion in the first place. Like, outside the obvious that the Empire continued to spread, we needed to find out why they continued to spread. This is what the fans wanted. You know, you can't make a sequel trilogy for the sake of making sequels. I mean, you can, but you shouldn't make it
based a whole
so
renaissance about
abundantly clear and so abundantly obvious as this film did. It was almost like cynical. It almost felt like Rian Johnson was laughing at us at certain points.
I felt like he was, but not for that reason. Like, you expected this to happen? Well, this is happening instead.
He threw the lightsaber over his head. Is that funny? Like, no, you
Jesus,
dick.
you take that so seriously.
I took that really personally because
Yeah,
I
I
waited
can
2
tell.
years to find out what happened with
You're
that.
you're like Ebert in his review of When Harry Met Sally, like when he talked about that iconic orgasm scene. He's like, I don't think a woman would do that. He actually said that. I don't think a woman would ever do that.
If you're talking about a movie that's like building a whole, you know, thing around this backstory that you think is going to be explored, you would think the next film was going to explore that to make you know why these movies are happening. Like I keep hearkening on this, I know, but when you don't even explore that and you just leave the audience high and dry, you know, the movie just it felt like a joke.
Or maybe they felt like with the state of our current politics, they maybe wouldn't want to know need to know, I guess, how something so bad got so numerous and powerful.
You'd
and
think
so
it would just be
embedded.
obvious considering the Trump administration and all that.
Yeah, maybe. But
Okay. I don't think
I
Disney.
mean, how did that happen?
This is gonna sound terrible, but I don't think, and I'm saying from Disney's perspective, I don't think they think their audience is that smart.
Maybe
You
they
know,
don't.
I don't think
Yeah,
they're.
but they started making the movie.
Maybe they just didn't.
Yeah.
Maybe they just didn't want to make that much of a commentary.
And
They didn't. They couldn't, or maybe they couldn't see how like an evil empire would become that. So they just decided to skip it. I don't know.
But
Or
if
maybe
they wanted
just
to
wanted give
avoid that
credit.
commentary, then why did they make Canto Bite, which is literally just like a gigantic like statement about
Make what?
shareholders and what Canto Bite, the casino planet.
Oh yeah.
Like-
I think it's kind of funny in light of the deal.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's ironic. It's like, oh, look how bad they are. They profit from war. It's like, yeah, you're Disney. You're profiting from,
Monopoly.
yeah, from Monopoly.
Yeah, I think that's partially how they get away with it by
Yeah,
acknowledging it and making the audience think about another kind
yeah.
of. Yeah.
I feel like this was Star Wars Episode 8, like the literal Episode 8 of a TV show in
Well,
season 1.
I vehemently disagree.
That's
I
fine.
strongly disagree.
That's
so-
okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
so
mean,
you've
you
already-
make some good points. They do. I mean, they do make the resistances sort of their plight, their need to continue to fight, their underdog sort of status, much more adamant here because now they literally have nothing. And yeah, maybe I don't have to care about the backstory and what happens, but
It would have
it's
been
just-
nice to see.
But it's just funny because, like, yeah, because, like, if you could see that, it just would have made me care about it. But because I didn't see it, I didn't care who they were. You know, like, yeah, with the original stories, yeah, you didn't know that either, but you just figured some shit happened. But then when you build up those original films, you can't just all of a sudden be like, oh, things continue to be bad. Because I think in a way it sends the wrong message to kids where you're saying no matter how hard you fight, no matter what you do, you're constantly going to be stuck in a perpetual state of struggle and war. And that's kind of what it felt
I just
like it was
think
saying.
it's you always have to be on guard against evil coming back.
And it just seems like evil is just overwhelming. And there's just...
Nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the real message they want to send. You can't do anything about the takeover.
Yeah, you can't do anything. That's how I feel about this new Star Wars film. I'm just like, you know, there's so much story you could explore here. There's so much lore, and literally,
Well, there's always going to be so much of that.
the movie just went for like the most base level common denominator value of entertainment,
I don't.
which
Yeah,
I know
again, I
Star
just-
Wars can be, but you know what? At least Return of the Jedi, even that movie with the cute teddy bears, they had Vader's redemption.
Hey,
That was
you
deep.
don't like Return of the Jedi?
I do like Return of the Jedi. I just
But-
don't like the Ewoks, and I don't like the fact they spent like 20 minutes in Jabba's palace.
Okay,
Oh.
I think I need to stop it here though, because I think we've said everything.
But
we
isn't
wanted
it
to say.
okay to disagree? That's the fun thing about it.
Yes, it is, but I just don't want to rehash it and everything.
Yeah, kind of like The Force Awakens turned out to be a rehash in retrospect of The Last Jedi. But oh God! So and is J.J. Abrams gonna close out this trilogy with every stone
Who knows?
unturned? Like, I don't think J.J. is gonna be able to finish it out because when he did Star Trek Into Darkness, that was kind of just a rehash of The Wrath of Khan. And now she's checking her phone. She wants to get the hell out of here.
Yes.
Okay. I think on that note, we'll wrap it up. I want to thank you, Andrea, so much again for coming on.
You're welcome.
Please don't avoid coming on my show because you disagree with me on Star Wars. It's like the most commercial thing ever. I think
I
there's a lot
mostly
of
wasn't being
movies.
serious.
I don't know. I can't tell anymore.